Hey, what's up everybody, PersNikity here, welcome back to the Uncharted 4 Crushing Difficulty walkthrough. We are moving on to Chapter 7, Lights Out, and this is what I actually consider, in my opinion, the start of the game. So I've mentioned in the entire walkthrough so far that this game starts off incredibly slowly. A lot of the beginning of the game was cutscenes and story setups and stuff like that. This is when we finally get into the regular Uncharted gameplay. I'm talking gunfights, climbing, adventure. This is, in my opinion, where the game really starts. And so luckily from here on out, the rest of the gameplay should be relatively exciting compared to the previous couple of videos. Now, in this first part here, you're actually going to be able to stealth through this entire part, and in fact that's what you're going to want to do, because you're going to have a hard time getting a weapon, and plus stealth is always just fun anyway. So go ahead and creep around the side of this building. Now you're going to see this guy on the upper left part of the screen. He has his flashlight that he's kind of sweeping from left to right, so he's going to be your main threat right here. You're just going to want to hide right here, and you can see him up there on that balcony. So wait until he's looking away, so you can see he's over there looking at that building right now. And you want to be careful. If you get spotted, you're probably just going to want to restart the checkpoint. But once you have an opening, jump over to this rooftop here and then scale the building. And then just crawl all the way to the left over to this extended pole right here. Now you're going to see the light sweeping across. Once you have an opening, jump to this window and then hop inside and just keep on running. Threat eliminated, and we can keep on keeping on. Now you're going to jump outside of this window here and then drop down, or at least first go to the left and then drop down to this roof. And now you're going to see there's a few more enemies far off in the distance, and he's going to be sweeping his light across. So once he sweeps past, go up to this thing here. He's going to sweep past one more time. You're just going to go up little by little, hide behind this thing now. Again, he's going to do the same motion over and over with his flashlight, so just pay attention to the rhythm, and then once he passes a third time, go ahead and hop into this building here and then scale around the corner. And you're going to see some tall grass, so go ahead and duck down in there. And you're going to let these two guys approach and then take them out while you're in the tall grass. Now, you got to be careful still. There's going to be a lot of parts in this game where you come to an area and you say, oh, I remember when I played this part on regular, I completely stealthed the whole section. And then you're going to try the same exact approach on Crushing, and you're going to find that it just does not work. And that's because on Crushing, the enemies have much higher senses, meaning that stealth is much weaker. And it can be incredibly frustrating at times, but it's just something you're going to have to deal with. So in reality, most of the fights in this game I'm just going to do with combat, like gun combat. But once in a while when I can, I will utilize stealth because it always is the smarter approach. And you can believe me when I say I battle tested all of these approaches to make sure they worked consistently. So this part here always tends to work with a stealth approach, so that's what you're going to want to do. Let those guys run off into the distance. You're going to see there's about 4 guys over there. So let them you know, do what they're doing. Once they leave, jump up here, and you're going to crawl up to this rooftop here, and then you're going to crawl up into the open window and trigger a short cutscene with Nadine.
Okay, everything's fine. No one got a good look at me. Just gonna play cool, stroll right on out of here. Oh, scusi.
You're not supposed to be back here.
Well, neither are you. But I'll tell you what, I won't tell anyone if you don't.
You have something I want, and you're going to give it to me.
Really? Well, I'm flattered, but I'm afraid I'm spoken for. Oh, if you'll excuse me.
I'm not in the mood for games. Give me the crucifix.
Lady, you're lucky I'm a gentleman. Because if I were...
You'd what?
All right, fine. Just remember, I didn't want to do this.
Let's see what you've got.
Alright, so after the cutscene, we're going to have to do a little fight against Nadine. This is a fight you cannot win. It's just something you kind of got to go through. Every time you try to attack her, she's going to counter your attacks and then hit you. You might be able to get in a little shot like you saw right there, but for the most part, you can't win this fight. You're not expected to win this fight. And this is another thing I was talking about in Chapter 6 that makes this really interesting. So you can go ahead and choose what you say right here. But this fight, the reason it's really interesting is because, you know, so on one hand, Nadine, even though I don't really care for her as an antagonist, she is a, you know, good villain in the sense that she's not just some, you know, Rafe is just a rich kid. Rafe is powerful because he has a lot of money. Nadine, she's in the same boat. She has a very rich parent, and that's how she got the money to basically fund her little private army. But she is also very, very strong in combat. She can, you know, stand up for herself. She's a very strong villain, as you see in this fight right here. Now, the reason she appears to be stronger than she actually is because Drake is just out of his prime. I mean, you got to consider, if you put Nadine against Lazarevich from Uncharted 2, Lazarevich is going to win hands down. And Drake obviously was able to beat Lazarevich. The reason that Nadine puts up such a fight here is because Drake is just way out of practice. And that's not to say that she's not strong. It's just that Drake right now is relatively weak. So, I don't know. Obviously, this is just all speculation, but it would be really interesting to see Nadine put in, like, Uncharted 2 or 3 when Drake is in his prime. That'd be an interesting thing to see how those two pair up against each other. But anyway, after she throws you out the window, you're just going to keep on climbing around these buildings here. We are still in the Razi estate. And so now from here on, we're pretty much going to abandon stealth. You're going to hop up to this giant metal thing here, and Sam is going to throw you a gun. And of course, through complete Uncharted magic, Drake will be able to not only catch this gun, but shoot the enemies while hanging from this thing without it falling down. I mean, look at this throw. They are so far apart, and Drake is able to catch that thing after bobbling it. Very unrealistic, but very Uncharted. Anyway, there's going to be a couple guys down here, so go ahead and take care of them. Sam should take care of the rest, and then you can go ahead and keep climbing. And like I said, for the rest of this chapter, we're going to abandon the stealth approach. I believe. I don't think I'm going to use stealth anymore. And like I said, that's because on crushing difficulty, on normal difficulty, you can stealth a lot of this chapter. But on crushing difficulty, the enemies just have they have very heightened senses, and stealth becomes nearly impossible. You can use it occasionally. There are going to be some points where you can use it, but a lot of the times you're going to see that I just completely abandon stealth from the very beginning and just opt to use my gun from the get-go. And the reason I do that is because it just saves time. So you see right here, instead of stealthing that guy, I just pop up for a quick headshot, boom, get a second headshot off in the distance, collect my ammo. That's another thing about this is ammo is not very not very scarce on crushing. So if you played the other Uncharted's on brutal, ammo is very hard to come by. In this game, ammo is very easy to find. There's always ammo, or there's always a new gun to pick up. You really will never have to worry about that. And so right here, you're going to see that I do opt to use stealth, but you can see right there, I was only out for like 3 seconds and this guy saw me. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop another quick headshot. But that's why stealth is just not worth it. The enemies just, they see you very quickly. They can see you from very far distances, and a lot of times when you think you're hidden, you're not actually hidden. So once the enemies are aware of your location, you're going to want to take cover behind here, and then there's going to be this enemy off on the rooftop. You can take cover behind this thing here in the grass, and then go ahead and take care of him. Now, a couple things to note. One is on crushing mode, the enemies throw a lot more grenades. The grenades are probably going to be your biggest threat. And I've noticed that with the maps in Uncharted 4, the areas where you can take cover are not as good. There's not as many good areas to take cover as there were in previous Uncharted games. And usually when you do find a good area to take cover, the enemies will force you out of it with their grenades. So crushing does do a good job at truly challenging you, but I would have to say that overall, if you played the other Uncharted games on brutal, this really shouldn't be that much of a hassle. And you see right there, if you heard that little noise, that's the noise that you'll hear when an enemy becomes suspicious. And so again, you see, I'm just going to say forget stealth, I'm just going to go all out with the guns. And the reason I'm doing that is because right now I'm in a very safe location. I'm on a rooftop behind this little brick thing. The enemies cannot get to me. If they do happen to throw a grenade up here, I can just roll out of the way and run back a little bit. So that's your strategy you're going to want to take in this game. There's two strategies. You can try to do a stealth approach. I'm telling you now, you're going to have a very hard time, but you can try it. Or you can do the gun combat approach. And if you do the gun combat approach, just make sure you do it smart and make sure you have a good area to take cover in before, try to plan out your position, your vantage point before you engage in the firefight.
Okay, almost to the ballroom.
Alright, so you're going to get to this area here. Apologies if you hear me drinking water. It is summer right now in Arizona, and as I do these commentaries, my mouth gets very dry, so I have to keep drinking while I do this. And I drink so much that it would take forever to edit out every time I take a drink of water, so I'm just going to keep it in there. Never say that Nick is not professional when he does his walkthroughs. But anyway, once you begin to push that crate with the wheels on it, a couple enemies are going to spawn. And again, this is a point where the game expects you to do stealth because there's all the tall grass around, but you're not going to be able to do it because there are two enemies up on the rooftops above you, and they will just see you instantly if you try to take out these two guys. So instead, what you're going to want to do is run to the back over here, and you can see I'm just being patient, trying to plan out my first kill. So there you go, got the first guy. Now I'm going to let the second guy make himself visible, and then boom, do the same thing. Now the reason this is a good area is because the enemies can only approach you head on, and the enemies that are on the roof can't get a good vantage point on you because you are basically directly below them. So in my opinion, this is the best place to stand for this little firefight. Not a very difficult firefight, but again, you'll notice that the biggest thing with firefights is where you choose to take cover. A very tough firefight can be made very easy if you take the right cover, and vice versa. A very easy firefight can be made very difficult if you choose a cover area that is not as efficient. So you see this guy up here, that's going to be the first guy on the rooftop that I was talking about. So from here you'll think you're clear, but be careful because there should be a second guy, and yes, there he is up top. He is basically directly above where we were just standing. So then you're going to want to shimmy over to these pillars here, or go ahead and hide behind this giant construct in the center, and then boom, you should be able to pick them off. And then you can pick up a new gun if you want. Like I said, ammo is very easy to come by in crushing mode, which is very fortunate for us. So once all the guys are taken care of, go ahead and continue pushing this crate, and you're going to push it once again to the center construct so that you can jump on board. And then you're going to want to turn to this area here, jump. And now you're going to see this zip line that you can use, so go ahead and do that. And of course, as always happens with Drake, it's going to break right before he gets to the end, and that's going to send us into the next area of combat. Now, as soon as you crash in here, you got to get moving. This part is kind of hard. So, as soon as you gain control of Drake, you're going to want to run all the way to the end of this area. So just run. Don't focus on the enemies. It's okay if you get shot a couple times, but just run and jump into this window here. Take out the guy that's inside as best you can. You got to do it pretty quickly. And now we're just going to take cover in this room for a couple seconds. So there's going to be guys in this room here. There's going to be guys that can sneak up on you from this direction here. But this is by far the easiest place to stand. Because the enemy can only approach you from one of these two or not one of these two. The enemy can only approach you from these two windows, and you can see that the room that we were just in, it's a very open room, and that is the type of room you want to avoid on crushing difficulty, because if you're in an open room, that means that the enemy has a lot of ways to get to you, and so you just want to make sure that you try to find like a small room with good cover. The other good thing is that you can't really see it from here, but there is a room in the far distance, and it's actually going to be where we have to go to. So over here, you can see that the enemies are now emerging from that location. If you were in the big room, another problem with that room is that all the cover is destructible, meaning that if you take cover behind it, chances are the enemy can blow it up and force you out of cover. This area here, this room is basically indestructible because this is just a regular room. So what I'm going to do is stand in this room and I'm going to shoot the enemies that are emerging from that new location. You're going to want to try to shoot them before they're able to get close to you. So for example, that shotgun guy, I wish I could have shot him earlier, but I wasn't able to. So if you see an enemy getting close to you, just take cover, let them approach, and then go ahead and blind fire them from cover. That's another thing about crushing, is the enemies tend to be a bit more aggressive and they will rush you more often. Now, you might face the problem I'm facing here, in which you run out of ammo. So I do have shotgun ammo, but that's not going to really do me any good at these long distances. So once you clear out all the enemies, the only enemies that should be left are going to be on this left side of the map here, which is where you need to go to anyway. So you don't really need to worry about any enemies sneaking up on you or anything, so you can feel free to leave that room. And now you're going to take cover in this area here. There's a lot of these giant pillars and balconies you can hide in. And now we're just going to kind of go to work and take out the remaining couple of these guys. Again, like I said, the shotgun is not my weapon of choice here, but it's all I had, and you can see that it was still pretty effective. I believe that's the Condor shotgun. Really strong weapon. Anyway, with all the enemies dead, you're going to want to run around and just stock up on ammo. Preferably, you're going to want to pick up an assault rifle for the next area. So you see here, there is an assault rifle. Only 24 bullets, but that's better than nothing, and you can see that you might be able to even find some ammo lying around. So go ahead and keep scavenging. That's pretty much the golden rule of Uncharted, is after every firefight you just want to run around and scavenge some ammo. And now you're going to make your way outside, and as you do so, a couple enemies are going to run up this curved staircase here. So go ahead and take care of them. Now you're going to want to be careful here. This is the last part of the level, and there's going to be a lot of enemies that spawn. So what you're going to want to do is basically run up, trigger a wave of enemies, and then run back to cover and take them out. And again, you'll notice that I'm using the alternative cover method. So if you didn't watch the earlier videos, what that is I'm not actually physically taking cover behind this pillar. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm aiming my weapon and I'm rotating the camera around the pillar so that I can see and shoot the enemies without them being able to shoot me back. So that's going to be a very useful strategy for the rest of the game. So make sure you understand what I'm saying and just kind of watch the gameplay to know for sure what I'm doing. Now I think I'm going to die right here, but you will get a checkpoint right here, so you're going to see a cut in the video. But now a sniper is going to spawn, and he's going to be your first priority because the sniper is incredibly accurate. So try to take him out as quickly as possible. Of course, there are going to be enemies on the ground level that you got to worry about as well. The hard part is you can't really see the sniper. You can only see where the red beam is originating from. So just try to aim your weapon in that general direction and then keep shooting until your crosshairs turn orange. Of course, that's the indicator that you successfully killed the enemy. Now you see here they threw a grenade at me. Like I said, that's going to be the biggest problem with this difficulty, is the enemies are going to throw a lot of grenades at you. So you just got to always be ready to move. Always have a location picked out where you're going to roll to in the event that an enemy does in fact throw a grenade at you. Now you see it's relatively quiet, so I'm going to run up. That will trigger the next wave of enemies, and then I'm going to take cover behind this giant pillar here. I'm going to kill those two guys first, but then there's going to be this balcony off on the far right, so you're going to want to hide behind the pillar. Again, use alternative cover, and like I said, it's really hard to actually see the enemy from here. So if you want to, you can risk it, and you can run up and get closer and get a better shot. But I knew that this was the end of the level, so I knew that I had ammo to spare. I wasn't really worried about running out of ammo because I know that I'll get fresh ammo at the beginning of the next level. So anyway, once things are quiet, run up, the car will break through, and that's going to trigger the last little wave of enemies. Even when it seems like there are no more enemies left, be careful because there still might be one hiding around the corner, which in fact will happen to me. But you're just gonna, take it slow, finish off this last wave, and then make your way towards the car to bring about the end of the level. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance, and I'll see you in Chapter 8. So again, you see there's one last guy to take care of, and boom goes the dynamite. I'll see you in the next video.
hope I don't go to hell for this. Shit. What? It's empty.
What? Oh, you're such an asshole.
He's your brother. All right, skull and crossbones. Very good sign.
It's Avery's insignia. What is this? Hodie mecum eris in paradiso.
Today you will join me in paradise.
It's what Jesus said to Saint Dismas on the cross. Right. But what about these numbers here? What do you make of this?
It's some kind of code. Or a phone number.
Come on. The dates.
Huh?
Look. 1659.
It's the year Avery was born.
1699.
Let me guess. The year he died.
Well, by most accounts, yeah, but it means we have date of birth, date of death, and paradise. Which means we're looking for Avery's grave.
St. Dismas's cathedral.
Wait a second. Hasn't Rafe been scouring that site for ages already?
Yeah, the cathedral. See these symbols?
Yeah.
These are found on old Scottish gravestones.
Right.
Right? Now, look at this. The layout of this place is really unusual. Here's the cathedral, but the graveyard is way over here.
Rafe's been focusing on the wrong area.
Exactly.
Guys, we're going to Scotland.
All right. Wait up. You do realize that Rafe knows you're coming.
Yeah, we can deal with that when we get there.
Look, that psycho would like nothing better than for you to show up. Plus, he's got Nadine and a whole army to back him up.
Yeah, but he doesn't have this. The biggest pirate treasure of all time is within our grasp.
I thought this was about saving Sam.
It is. I mean, come on, it's both, right? We need the treasure so we can save Sam.
How is Elena cool with all this? Jesus, kid.
Look, it's just not that simple.
Look, with all that you two have been through together,
She wouldn't understand this.
you are not giving her enough credit.
I can't take that chance.
Nathan, he's right. Things have changed. Rafe's involved now, and I can take this on my own, really.
Great. Well, thank you for your input, both of you. Excuse me. Hey. Hey, it's me, yeah. No, the reception's lousy.
Something on your mind, dear?
Look, I realize it couldn't have been easy. All those years away. And I'm sorry for what happened to you. But it's not his fault.
I never said that it was.
It took a long time for him to get out of this game.
You see a gun to his head? He chose this. Okay, he's meant for this life.
You really believe that?
Why are you here, Victor?
Because somebody's got to keep an eye out for him.
No, I'll just see you in a few more weeks. Yeah, I will. Okay. I love you too. Bye. Just told her that the job was going to take a little longer than expected, which is the truth. Right? So come on, what do you say? Sam could still use our help.
Well, I do hear that the weather is particularly fine in Scotland this time of year.